All right, it is on now. Everybody ready?
We're good.
All right. I'll go ahead and call our closed session to order. This is, excuse me, it's 5 p.m., March 17th. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak on our closed session items?
Yes, Your Honor, we do have a request from Don Slater, and I don't believe he has joined the meeting on Zoom. I did get confirmation from IT that he's not there, so I do have Deputy City Clerk Stephanie Rosine available to read his email.
All right, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. As Sarah mentioned, this public comment is from Don Slater. Closed session evaluation of city attorney. Can I weigh in on this? F-. Do I need to elaborate? First, the city needs to rip to shreds that insane agreement between the city of Menifee and the city attorney. It is far too costly to pay any city attorney by the hour, and it sets up a huge conflict of interest. Menifee wants to win lawsuits while it is in the city attorney's best interest to drag them out indefinitely. Whose interest is being served? Let's take a look. Falco versus Menifee. This has been going on for a year after year, and still ongoing. $250,000 wasted. Furman versus Menifee. This has been going on since about the beginning of time. How much has this cost Menifee? Has Menifee ever won a lawsuit? Menifee versus Valleywide. No, lost that one. AT&T versus Menifee. That would be a sure loss. So the city council wisely chose to throw in the towel. Let's move on to the victim of Frontier. Thousands of Menifee residents have been scammed by this bankrupt company. The city of Menifee is the local franchise authority and has sole jurisdiction and sole authority to enforce the SVFH codes, Menifee Municipal Codes 5.06, and could have stopped Frontier at any time. In fact, it is the city's duty and responsibility to do so, and yet still to this day, the city refuses to act. The city attorney took the lead on this case and dropped the ball. A city attorney who doesn't understand fraud or misrepresentation or customer service standards or price gouging. As Tony Falco once said, man, that's some intelligence. Clearly, no one at City Hall gives a about the victims of Frontier. Very strange, because the city of Menifee is itself a victim. Since arriving here 5 years ago, Frontier, due to its abhorrent conduct, had a net loss of 6,000 customers. Each time Frontier loses a customer, Menifee loses the 5% franchise fee. That's over $600,000 a year kissed goodbye because the city attorney doesn't know how to enforce the municipal code. As Tony Falco once said, that man, that's some intelligence. I have so much more to say, but I'm running out of time. $1 million for a city attorney. Man, what would Tony Falco say? That's the end of the public comment.
All right, thank you for reading that, Stephanie. Madam Clerk, do we have any other comments?
There are no other requests to speak.
All right, thank you very much. So we'll go ahead and recess to closed session now. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started because it is 6 o'clock. This is our March 17th City Council meeting. Want to wish everybody a happy St. Patrick's Day. And it's very nice of the Boys and Girls Club to have given all of us council members a nice little card. So thank you to them for thanks for St. Patrick's Day. All right, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order now at 6:01. And Mr. Melching, do we have anything to report out of our closed session?
No, Mayor.
No, all right. And we are 6 feet distance. We have plexiglass dividers. Most of us have gotten our shots. And so if you're comfortable, feel free to remove your mask. And Madam Clerk, actually, I think let me read this quickly here. For anyone who's watching this meeting, if you'd like to provide public comments, you must email to publiccomments@cityofmenifee.us to register to speak. Please be sure to identify which items you'd like to speak on. At tonight's meeting and going forward, we're going to be accepting live comments by Zoom or by phone call. So again, please email public comments at cityofmenifee.us for more information on how to comment. All right, Madam Clerk, would you call roll, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilmember Dynas. Here. Councilmember Carwin.
Here.
Councilmember Leesmeyer.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Sobek.
Here.
And Mayor Zimmerman.
I'm here. Thank you very much. All right, so we are now on Words of Inspiration, and hopefully we have Pastor Mike Johnson from Impact Church to give us our words of inspiration this evening. Pastor Mike Johnson, are you with us by Zoom? This is always the fun part.
All right, can you guys hear me?
We do, yeah. Thank you, Pastor Mike. We appreciate you joining us this evening. We heard him.
Well, thank you. I'm hearing quite a few different voices, so I'm not sure if it's my time to go or not.
It is. Welcome.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad to be with you, and wanted to just say a few words about St. Patrick. I don't know how many of you know his story, but it's kind of inspiring. He was actually not Irish. He was British. He was born in Britain around the 5th century. And as a teenager, he was kidnapped by pirates. So exciting little adventure there. He gets sold to an Irish warlord who owned property, and he was a slave for about 5 or 6 years. And he tended sheep in the fields. And so as he was doing so, he had a lot of time on his hands to think and ponder and consider his life, but he was a slave, and he was a servant to the Irish people. But he, at some point, he talks about having heard a voice saying, "Go to the sea and get on a ship and go home." And so he does, and he goes back to Britain. And so he's a young man, in his 20s, and decides to go and study and becomes a minister. And then when he's ordained, he has some type of a dream or vision of the Irish people calling him to come back to them. And so he goes back to the land of his captivity, but this time, instead of being a slave, he goes back to serve them and to bring good news. And at that time, Ireland was just full of warlords, and he's used in a pretty mighty way to unite Ireland and bring peace and, like I said, good news to them. And so I just liked the example of his life for us as leaders, because many times we have to serve. And you guys know this, I'm sure, in serving at the city, a lot of times our service that we give to others is not appreciated. And we do have to have a servant heart and attitude, and it can feel at times that we're slaving away for people who really are not appreciating what we're doing. And so I just wanted to thank you guys and be inspired by the story of Patrick to keep on serving, keep on giving to folks, and doing great things for our city. And I did want to read, if that's okay, just some words of Patrick quickly. There's just a couple phrases that he wrote that I thought could be inspiring for us to maintain that servant attitude. He said, this is just an excerpt here. "I arise today through the strength of heaven, light of the sun, splendor of fire, speed of lightning, swiftness of the wind, depth of the sea, stability of the earth, firmness of the rock. I arise today through God's strength to pilot me, God's might to uphold me, God's wisdom to guide me, God's eye to look before me, God's ear to hear me, God's word to speak for me, God's hand to guard me, God's way to lie before me, God's shield to protect me, and hosts to save me." So thank you guys again, and keep doing what you're doing. Enjoy your St. Patrick's Day as you are serving the rest of us in Menifee. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Pastor Johnson. We appreciate you joining us this evening and educating us about some things that I didn't know about, but hopefully you and your sanctuary and your church have a great day today for St. Patrick's Day. So thank you for joining us. All right, I'm going to ask our Chief Walsh if he would lead us in the flag salute tonight. Right hand over your heart. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chief. All right, we are on item 5. This is presentations, and it is my pleasure to introduce Manisha Jones. She is our brand new CEO for our Menifee Valley Chamber of Commerce. Jeff, does she have a microphone? We'll get you a microphone, Manisha, and then you can share a little bit about yourself. But welcome aboard. We're really pleased to see that the Chamber has hired somebody to take the helm, and we're looking forward to good things and a good partnership. So, floor is yours. If you like, yeah, why not?
So thank you, council members.
I'm not sure. Is that on? Give it a little test.
Test
There
one.
you go.
Here we go. Thank you, council members, and I would like to thank you, Mayor Zimmerman, for inviting me here today. It's an honor to meet all of you. I've been a Southwest Riverside County resident for about 20 years. I'm a mom of one teenager. I've been an area employee, a business owner, and a commuter all up and down the 15 freeway. I've stayed here because it's beautiful and it's open. We have everything we need here. We have great schools and a strong community, and I thank you for making that happen. I would also like to thank my board of directors for selecting me for the important job of running your chamber and ensuring that it's a voice for our local businesses. And to our business owners, this is shaping up to be a better year already. So I can't wait to speak with you, to listen to what you want and need as business operators, and to promote you and be a resource for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Manisha. Well, I'll tell you this, you have your work cut out for you. There's a lot to do, and this city is growing. It's actually a great time for you to come on board because we're kind of seeing the end of the pandemic and a lot of new businesses that have been on the sidelines and getting ready to get started. So I'm sure it's going to come to you very quickly how much work there is and how much activity there is. And I'm just pleased that you had reached out to our economic development team, and Gina Gonzalez and Kayla and I met with you. And I got to just tell my council colleagues, I'm impressed with Manisha. She's on the ball. She's professional. She's got some great ideas and well suited for this role. So I'm speaking on behalf of all of us. Welcome aboard, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you so much.
Gina, did you want to say anything? I know you're here, so.
No, that we are very excited on behalf of our department in the city. And Manisha and I already started, I really jumped right into it with her and started explaining what the Zero Stop Shop was. Kind of gave her the lay of the land. But we're excited about the partnership. We've always had a great relationship with the Chamber of Commerce, and they really are the backbone of our community. And we're just so proud and excited to have Manisha join the team.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gina.
All right. Well, anyway, thank you so much. Thank you for coming and taking time and introducing yourself today, and we're looking forward to doing good things together. All right. Thank you. All right, we're going to move now to item 5.2. This is our business spotlight. Today we're going to be spotlighting Rancho Family Medical Group. I'll turn it over to our Economic Development Director, Ms. Gonzalez.
Thank you again, Mayor and City Council. I'm so excited to be before you tonight to present the Business Spotlight once again. This day couldn't have come quicker for our department. And just as a reminder of what the Business Spotlight program is, for those that are out there that may not be aware, it's a free business recognition program designed to create awareness about the variety of local businesses and contributions to the Menifee community and our region. And we are very proud to announce this month's Business Spotlight as Rancho Family Medical Group. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about them. So Rancho Family Medical Group prides themselves on serving Riverside County with the highest quality of care, including 2 Menifee locations, one at Countryside Marketplace and one at the newly renovated location at the Cherry Hills Plaza, which was the old bank there. Features beautiful Class A offices, a community room, a kitchenette for community classes. Rancho Family Medical Group's family of local area physicians have developed educational content that empowers our community to make healthy lifestyle changes and prides themselves on going beyond the exam room to make the community healthier and happier. And Rancho Family Medical is part of our inner family. At the Sun City location, Rancho operates a community center that they offer a wide variety of classes that are completely free, related to health and fitness. They offer Zumba, yoga, line dancing, strength and balancing, cooking classes, CrossFit classes, and they do this completely free to our seniors. In addition to their work with seniors since the start of the pandemic, Rancho Family Medical Group has vaccinated over 2,000 individuals and completed over 7,000 COVID tests as part of their commitment to keeping our community healthy. With that, we're proud to premiere this month's Business Spotlight, Rancho Family Medical Group. And if I may, we would like to show their free 30-second video as a courtesy of being recognized as our Business Spotlight for this month. So with that.
At Rancho Family Medical Group, we like to think of our patients as family. Our goal is to get to know who our patients are so we can provide the best possible personalized care. We offer many different programs to provide a fuller picture of health. We have a senior center where we offer many different classes, including line dancing or yoga. We aren't just your primary care, we are your family. When you choose Rancho Family Medical Group, you choose health.
Thank you. And so we did things a little bit different this year in place of COVID. And so instead of being able to invite their entire team out here to receive this recognition on behalf of the city council and the city, we did have to do this over at their location. And gosh darn, we had to go look at that beautiful building together and really explore it. But I wanted to show the photo of the city council's recent honoring with Rancho Family Medical Group. And we had the entire city council there, and just wanted to thank the council again for partnering and being part of this great achievement, benefiting Rancho Family Medical Group. So with that, the gentleman in the middle, promise you he's smiling behind that mask, Dr. Eric Madrid. I believe he's on the line tonight.
IT said there's nobody there.
Oh, he was supposed to join us tonight.
He's
Dr.
not, he's
Eric
not
Madrid.
online right now. Mm-mm.
Oh, well, with that, I will turn it over to the city council. He was going to try, but maybe something came up where he was unable to attend or something happened and he fell off. But if the city council would like to say any words, honoring Rancho Family Medical Group, now's that time.
All right, I'll open the floor up. Anybody'd like to share some thoughts? I know Councilman Carwin, it's in your district, is his new office there.
I was really excited we got to tour the facility, one of the rare businesses that spans districts. I know Mayor Pro Tem has a location in her district as well, and this one is fairly brand new. Just an incredible facility there, and the volume of our neighbors that he's able to care for. I've known Dr. Madrid for many years. Our sons went to Paloma together, and I'm friends with his whole family. And I'm just so glad to see him investing in the community. When we did our tour, he introduced us to several to the doctors there who grew up in the area and came back to the area to practice and to help our community. So I'm just really grateful for the reinvestment in our community of such professionals like this, and it's great to see. And I'm happy that they're doing well, and I wish them well in the future.
Yep, Councilman.
I would definitely echo the sentiments and welcome them to Menifee again. I know it's a great step up from where they were over here. Dr. Madrid's been in the city for a long time, and I'm actually a recent new add to their family. So
Patient.
Looking forward to it.
Good. Councilman Dines, did you wish to share anything?
I don't want to repeat what I just said, but it's a wonderful facility. It was pretty amazing what they did to that building, and the services they offer for free to the seniors here is unmatched. So we're really grateful to have them as a community member and a neighbor.
Yep. And Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, I agree. I just was going to say appreciate and wow the contributions that they make to our community and to the senior population, and that they're located in the Sun City core, offering all of those free classes that will benefit and help our seniors even be healthier. So I know they were looking forward to COVID ending so they can open back up their kitchen, which they help people who have diabetes know how to eat and cook. So I was impressed with their facility. So welcome, Rancho family, to your new building in Menifee.
Yep. Well said. In fact, it was well said by everybody, so I'll just say welcome myself. So, Gina, do you have anything else on this?
I was just going to end with that. I think it's important for the community to realize that they're part of the UC San Diego Health affiliate. And so we actually have UC San Diego Health located right here in the city of Menifee. And we're very proud to have them as an affiliate and proud of Rancho Family Medical Group.
Nice. Thank you for that. All right. So let's go ahead and move now. We are on 5.3. And this is our COVID-19 pandemic report. Mr. City Manager, would you like to introduce this?
Yes, thank Mayor and members of the council. As
Maybe
As represented-
IT, can you guys turn the microphones up just a little bit, the volume? Thank you. Go ahead.
so, there you go. As represented to you at the last city council meeting, I wanted to give you a quarterly report on COVID-19. Over the last 2 weeks, things have been escalating relatively fast, and we are very encouraged to see the numbers going down. And we wanted to give you a report on what are some of the things that the city is doing to get ready for the new tier system, and some of the things that we expect to see over the next couple of months as the numbers continue to get better with COVID-19. Like I said, I'm very encouraged to see the numbers go down. I think the residents of Menifee and the businesses have played a big role in making sure that we keep the curve down. So at this point, I'd like to ask our risk manager to give us a presentation on it.
Welcome, Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you. Well, good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council, and staff. As Armando mentioned, my name is Robert Cardenas. I serve as a risk manager for the city of Menifee. And tonight I will be providing that COVID-19 pandemic update. Unlike the December 2020 update that I provided a few short months ago, today's outlook is going to be a little bit more optimistic. So the national response to COVID-19 has always been about flattening the curve. And the reason why we would do this would be to slow the spread of the virus and to ensure that our healthcare systems do not exceed their capacity. And to do this, the country as a whole, we relied on mitigation techniques such as social distancing, mask wearing, disinfecting, and modifying personal and even business practices. Zooming into the county of Riverside, in December of 2020, the county was at 65 new cases per 100,000 residents. Today, the county's at 6.1, as indicated on the PowerPoint, moving from a purple tier to a red tier. But what exactly does that mean? So, to help flatten the curve at the state level, California instituted a color-coded tier system based on case rates and positivity rates. By way of example, Riverside County currently has a 6.1 daily new cases per 100,000 residents and falls under the red tier. This is an improvement from yesterday when the county was in the purple tier. Restrictions in the red tier include the following. So all retail, they have a maximum capacity of 50%. Places of worship and restaurants, they are now at 25% capacity. And offices, employees are still being asked to work remotely. Reports do indicate that the county may enter the orange tier as early as April 1st. However, the county is still grappling with providing vaccinations to the public. And Cal OSHA has not updated their workplace practices, and that may not happen until April or May of this year. So as a recommendation from the staffing level, the recommendation may be to provide for the city of Menifee a soft opening at a 50% capacity to the public from hours of 9 to 2, Monday through Thursday, when the county enters the yellow tier, which will likely be in May or June of this year. We did do a survey of local cities to see what they're doing in response to moving to the orange tier. And we found that Hemet, they're going to be reopening on Monday, but they're going to have a 10 customer limit in their hallways. Also, the city of Lake Elsinore, they're going to be bringing back their employees next week. However, they're going to wait for the county guidance in order to reopen to the public. So some of those areas are still open. City of Murrieta, they're going to be available by appointment only, but they're discussing whether or not to reopen to the public today. City of Paris, they're going to be reopening possibly next week. However, their plans are still under development. Now, the city of Temecula, they're possibly going to open the end of March, but like the other cities, they're waiting for the county's tier system to move to more favorable for their business practices. Now, the city of Wildomar, they're closed, and they don't have any plans to reopen at this point. They, too, are waiting for more instruction from the county. So looking at that, our recommendation would be to open at 50% capacity when we enter the yellow stage. This would give us enough opportunity for the Cal OSHA to come up with their workplace practices, and to update those, and also for the for that to happen. So looking at our California metrics, we're seeing from in December of 2020, we were in the purple as a state. We were more in a purple phase, but we, as of today, we are now moving in a red phase, which is a really good sign. One of the key reasons we've been able to flatten the curve has been the coordination of efforts between FEMA at the federal level, Cal OES at the state level, the county EMD at the county level, and also too through our emergency management division within the city of Menifee. The push has been disseminating information, testing, and providing the vaccine. So in order to reduce public risk with relation to COVID, operationally, the city took various steps to reduce the risk of spreading the virus by placing the city's Emergency Operations Center on management watch, closing City Hall, and providing virtual City Hall opportunities. Now, also operationally, the city took steps to reduce employee risk by consulting with our city's risk pool and adopting policies and procedures to assist the employees in social distancing and masking and disinfecting, adopting Cal OSHA regulations, and allowing employees to telecommute where possible. These efforts have paid off as our workers' comp claims related to COVID have been minimal at 4. And I'm happy to report that all those claims have since been resolved. Looking at the federal level, on March 11th, the American Rescue Plan was signed. As such, the city stands to receive approximately $13 million in funding. We can use these funds potentially to gap fund infrastructure projects. However, the rules are still being fleshed out at the federal level. And so there's more to come on that. Prior to the American Rescue Plan, we had the CARES Act funding. And as a city, we received approximately $1.29 million. And we reviewed those numbers back in December of 2020. And the dollars were used to fund food programs, telework capabilities, PP&Es, flatten the curve expenses, and small business assistance. Additional funds were used to invest in programs such as Menifee Forward, Menifee Cares, and Menifee Restaurant Week, amongst others. In closing, although the future looks promising, we are not out of the woods. To continue this positive trend, we want to encourage residents to social distance, disinfect, wear a mask, test and vaccinate. And the links to these services are included on this slide. That concludes my presentation. Staff is available to answer questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Cardenas. Would you, before that PowerPoint goes away, would you take it back to the one that says State of California tier system on the top? This one. So I was hoping that tonight the city council could see a matrix that has a little bit more of the plan for reopening City Hall, not just saying 50% capacity, but talking about council meetings, planning commission meetings. When will those take place? Will we allow the public to come and speak? And so what I was hoping for, and I asked the city manager, if you could provide, based on these tiers, you start with red and you say, these things will happen at City Hall. When you get to orange, we are going to add these things. We get to yellow, we're going to add these things. So what I'm hearing from you is we're keeping things the same until we get to yellow, and then we're at a 50% opening. But some of those other things that we were hoping to know about, if the city staff has a plan in place, it would have been helpful tonight.
Yes, thank you for that. Part of that is because looking and referring back to the tier system, the tier system, when it comes to the moderate, it's going to allow us to open indoors with modifications. Employees are still going to be encouraged to telecommute. However, what those modifications look like, and in the absence of Cal OSHA recommendations, nobody really knows that. So even if we were to produce something today, it is going to be subject to a lot of change, as has been the case with the other tiers as well. So that's why a lot of the other cities are taking a similar approach and just kind of waiting and seeing to see what transpires at the state level, and that's going to also be based on guidance from the CDC. So as much as we can come up with a plan for the orange and the yellow phases, it's most likely going to change.
Okay. I was on a Zoom today with the other mayors, and I did a canvas, and I said, tell me where you guys are. And there were some cities that said, we're allowing in-person people to come to the podium. Aaron Sassy from the league said that that's been the discussion of the city managers when they meet, and they're all comparing notes. So none of them said we're waiting for Cal OSHA to tell us what to do. They're making decisions and opening up. So eventually what's going to happen, and this is just my perspective now, I'm not speaking for the entire council, but I believe that the public is going to start seeing that restaurants are open, that schools are open, and things are starting to open up, but City Hall is behind. And I just want to make sure that we're planning our openings commensurate with the rest of the world. So, all right, with that, Mayor Pro Tem Sobek has been patient. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I kind of agree with your comments, Mayor. I do know that we have spring break coming up, and I know in the past we have seen the numbers go up after Christmas, Thanksgiving, etc. And so instead of being firm in that May or June reopening, I would like us to kind of look at spring break and those numbers. I know that city workers are now considered, we are disaster emergency personnel, and that we are open to receiving the vaccination for those who want. So I think that's a good thing for our staff. When you mentioned City Hall, does this also include the Menifee Police Department and Case and Aceros, our senior center?
Good question.
Yes.
So I am concerned with our senior population as well as our youth population who have been experiencing great anxiety and loneliness during this time. And I think we need to look at what we can do. So that would be my request. And I don't know how my colleagues think about that, but after spring break, look at what we can do. I already hear from people around me who've received the vaccine, we can now hang out together because we've all had it. So wearing face masks and practicing the social distancing, but I believe having the vaccine does relieve a lot of stress in one's person's life. And I do know our seniors and youth need the social. So that would be my comments tonight.
Thank you. Councilman Leesmeyer.
I would also echo your comments. I would definitely be in favor of seeing the city hall open up a lot sooner than orange or yellow. I mean, you're hearing some cities are opening tomorrow, some are opening Monday, regardless of those tiers. I question the efficiency of the staff working remotely so much. It's not a knock against staff. It's just I've worked remotely, and it's kind of nice to be home sometimes too, but it's also very distracting. So I question the efficiency, and I question that just a little bit. But definitely would like to see us get the doors open. I know that there's been some people out there that have made comments to me about, I used to be able to get an over-the-counter permit for this, or I used to be able to do this over the counter or that over the counter. Can't do that anymore. So there are services that the city is not able to provide right now that they could otherwise be providing over the counter. And just to touch, I know you didn't say this, Councilmember Sobek, but I just want to go on record as saying that there is no world that right now where I am going to require staff to be vaccinated before coming back to work. I'm not saying that. I know she didn't say that, but I am saying that I do not want to see any requirements right now that require vaccinations to come back to work. That is their choice.
All right, good input. So it sounds like we're giving some encouragement to staff. I liked what you talked about service, and that's really what we're all about. We're here to serve the public, and yes, we want to have protocols in place and be smart about what we do. There was a time, and I can't remember when it was, last year when we were about midway through COVID, and we were still able to serve the public and have them come in. We put in the plexiglass. We put markers on the floor, and we had requirements. We took temperatures and all those things that we do, the proper protocols. And so I think with those in place, it can happen commensurate with what the rest of the world's doing and what other cities are doing around as well. So I would encourage staff to remember that we're here to serve the public. That's what it's all about. So however best we can do that is the right thing to do. Any other comments on this? Mr. Cardenas, thanks for the presentation. We appreciate the updates. Hopefully the next one you're going to be telling us that we're in the clear and all's good to go. Yeah. All right, we're going to move to our next item. This is item number 6. It is agenda approval or modifications. So, Madam Clerk, do we have any modifications to our agenda this evening?
Yes, Your Honor, I just wanted to point out on the agenda number 13, it was added. It's not the regular outline for the agenda. If this is something that staff would like, that council would like to continue to see on the agenda, we'll have to update the council's policy and procedures.
So are you saying we can't do this one this evening, or you're just letting us know that this is something that's a little different?
We can do that.
Okay.
I just wanted to bring the council's attention to it and make sure you're okay with having it on there.
Okay. Council members, anybody have a problem with an information item? I don't hear any. So can I get a motion to approve the agenda as is?
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we have an approved agenda. Let's move to item 7. This is public comments on non-agendized items. For anyone who's watching this meeting, if you'd like to provide public comments, you must email to publiccomments@cityofmenifee.us to register to speak. Be sure to identify which item you'd like to speak on. At tonight's meeting and going forward, we're going to be accepting live comments by Zoom or by phone call. So please email publiccomments@cityofmenifee.us for more information on how to comment. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments emailed to you?
I do have a request to speak from Patrick Ellis, and he should be, let me just double check that he is on.
Hello.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Hi, Patrick. We hear you. Thank you for joining us.
On St. Patrick's.
Good evening, Mayor Zimmerman and City Council and staff. Patrick Ellis, President and CEO of the Murrieta-Wildomar Chamber of Commerce, also the Chairman of the Board for the Riverside County Workforce Development Board. Before I get to my topic, I do want to welcome Manisha to the Chamber world as well. I had the great opportunity to have a virtual coffee with her on Monday morning, and we were able to exchange a lot of great ideas. So welcome, Manisha. Look forward to working with you. But my time tonight will be spent speaking to you about the upcoming proposed MSHCP fee structure. I know it's not on your agenda tonight, but it will be coming before you before May. And my plea to you is to hold off on bringing that forward and voting on it. Some of the reasons why I will outline as quickly and as possible for you. So back in December, the RCA board approved the new fee structure for the MSHCP. At that point, it was then delivered to staff members across Western Riverside County who kind of were a little blindsided by that and weren't sure exactly how to react. I myself found out about it around that same time in discussions with some of our local economic development directors in some of our local meetings. I took it upon myself as somebody who works with development and works with business on a regular basis to speak up on this because it seems as though there may be a huge issue for Southwest Riverside County when it comes to the fee structure as it is. I had the opportunity to speak at the RCA board meeting back in February, at which point then also had the opportunity to speak to some of our local representatives that sit on that board. I spoke with Lou Monville, who is the acting executive director for BIA. I also spoke with Bill Blankenship, who works as a consultant with NAOP on a few different projects. One of the things that was determined during some of these discussions is that BIA was extremely involved in the discussions regarding the fee structure. Unfortunately, though, no one was there representing industrial or commercial development. That's a big issue. One of the things that we know of is that a lot of Western Riverside County is impacted by the larger industrial complexes such as the Amazons and Skechers of the world. But for Southwest Riverside County, industrial and commercial is a different level of development. And because of that, we're going to get impacted in a way that will hinder development for the types of projects that we need desperately. Also, one of the things that was determined at that time is that any recreational type development falls within that same category. So any projects that might be an outdoor soccer stadium or an outdoor gun range or something
Patrick,
of that
your
sort.
time is up.
Ooh, wow, that was quick.
Hey, Patrick, if you can work towards wrapping it up, we'll go ahead and just give you a little bit more.
Okay, I'm sorry. That was a quick 3 minutes. I apologize. So basically, had discussions with Ann and Aaron at RCTC, who now manage RCA, working with them to come up with some alternatives for commercial industrial. So I just ask that you kind of hold off until you possibly can on any kind of a vote with this to see if we might be able to come up with an alternative that might help benefit us in Southwest Riverside County that need that 50 to 200,000 square foot industrial type buildings.
Excellent.
So I appreciate the time. Thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you very much for joining us. Madam Clerk, next speaker.
The next speaker is actually a comment from Kristen A. And Deputy City Clerk Stephanie Rosine will read this one.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Curious why the city of Menifee is going to spend a few $1 million on an amphitheater cover when we most likely won't be hosting any events in communist California. Instead, why doesn't the city finish landscaping the Newport overpass at the freeway? It looks terrible passing through our city. What a statement. Also repave Bradley Road and Salt Creek potholes. Still waiting for the bridge over Salt Creek and Bradley. Just passing into Marietta, their freeway on-off ramps are all nicely landscaped with nice hardscape and vegetation. Side note, why is the city of Menifee requiring youth sports to sign contracts that they will have children wear masks while outside playing sports? Absolutely ridiculous. Kristen, Menifee homeowner.
All right, Madam Clerk, next speaker.
Can I ask a question of their city manager or city attorney? Are we having youth sports members sign contracts on behalf of the city or for the city? Is that a no?
I think Jonathan Nix is here.
I wasn't aware of that. I'm just curious what that question is about.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. To answer that question, youth sports groups have to sign a permit, which is an agreement to use the fields. That's a normal practice. What we've included in that permit is just the guidelines from the state and the county on the youth sports guidelines. So we're not requiring them to sign a contract that says that you will wear a mask. We're providing them and educating on what the youth sports guidelines are.
Thanks, Jonathan.
You're welcome.
The next public comment comes from Don Slater, and Stephanie Rosine will read that one as well.
At the March 3rd meeting, the Finance Department admitted that their budget revenue projections were way off the mark, just like they were in 2016. 2016 and 2020, the 2 years that Measure DD was on the ballot. The 2 years the city needed to trick the voters with scare tactics. You know, oh no, if we don't have Measure DD, we'll have to defund the police and fire departments. No one can be that far off without it being intentional. And combined with the plethora of false information the city put forward, the voters were fooled. Give credit to everyone who voted yes on M. You were not fooled. A few public commenters tried to get out the truth, but the comments were read into an empty room and couldn't compete with the city spending a boatload of money on illegal mass mailings. Worse yet, anyone who favored lower taxes was subject to being verbally attacked by Menifee high muckety mucks. The election is over before the voting starts. New faces have no chance. As you know, council members appoint the planning commissioners, and when there is an opening on council, they back and endorse their appointees along with all the incumbents. Is everyone on the city council a former planning commissioner? The team, as they call themselves, although the better word is a gang, doesn't allow any new faces to have any real chance. I am not given enough time here to explain all the skullduggery involved. However, I have discovered a great song to tell you about it. Yes, a song, a political protest song written by my favorite songwriter, Mr. Bob Carwin. After listening to his song, I realized that Bob had written the perfect political protest song, and yet I feel obliged to include it on my YouTube channel. And he provides links to that. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And that is the end of his comment.
All right. Madam Clerk, any other commenters?
There are no other requests to speak.
All right, thank you. So let's go ahead and move now to our next agenda item, and I believe that we are on council member updates and comments. This is item 8. So we'll start with Councilman Carwin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One of the highlights of my last 2 weeks was on Thursday of last week. I attended the vaccination clinic, which was held at the Sun City Civic Association campus. A lot of people worked very hard. I know the mayor was there as well, and we were joined by Riverside County Supervisor Jeff Hewitt, whose office was instrumental in getting that done. We heard a lot of really positive feedback. I received a note from the former occupant of this seat, Greg August, who went through the process and got a vaccination at that clinic, and was commending the board and the staff for the organization. It was very well done. It was very well safe, and everybody I spoke to who was down there was pleased with it. So that was great. I don't know yet if we're going to have a second clinic there for people who got their first dose at that clinic to return there to get the second one. But I was frankly surprised at how many people were there getting their second vaccination, and they're not going to have to get another one. So that was a real highlight for me, and I'm certain that the Mayor Pro Tem will talk more about this than I am, but Spring Clean Menifee is coming up on Saturday, and that's, if you look on the city's website, it's an event being organized by the city where one park in each district will have a setup, and you can go get cleaning supplies, a bag, gloves, things like that, to pick a public area to clean up. And I just wanted to let everybody know that the area that I have selected will be the area where Salt Creek crosses over, where Normandy Road crosses over Salt Creek, and the link between Spirit Park and the Salt Creek Trail. A lot of trash got blown around in there and collects up against there. So that's where I'm going to be. If anybody would like to come out and say hello and join me in cleaning up that area, that's where I'm going to be. I'll be down there probably about 9:30 a.m. on Saturday. So hopefully we'll get some folks out there. And then, again, we heard for it before. I just want to remind everyone that we took that tour of Rancho Family Medical Group, and it was, again, an impressive facility. I yield the remainder of my time.
Thank you for your report. Councilman Leesmeyer.
Just a couple of updates. We had our Public Safety Committee meeting. I'll let Lisa speak more about it. She's the chair. A couple of highlights there for me that I was excited about. We learned about a potential for a partnership with our neighboring cities, Murrieta and Hemet, to potentially invite their motors into Menifee, and us vice versa. Maybe have a day where all the motors are working together and tackling traffic. Just a trading of resources and obviously keeping it above board, not giving away public resources sort of thing, but it's a mutual benefit, and I think it's a great idea to just increase enforcement on those days. I'm happy to see the public safety item in the agenda so everybody can see the great report that staff puts together. And one particular item of note that was added, I spoke to Armando about adding this. The false alarm calls are now added in that report. Last month, there was 174 alarm calls. 3 of them were true. 171 were false. So just a particular item of note to back up the argument that staff was making about the false alarm calls. As Councilmember Carmen mentioned, I too was at the Rancho Family deal. Great facility. Again, happy to have them in the city. Excited moving forward. And then again, Saturday, we'll have the Menifee, the cleanup event, and I'll probably be out at La Piedra, somewhere out there getting trash. So see what happens out there. Hopefully we get some good turnout.
Excellent. Thank you for your report. Councilman Dinas.
Thank you. On Monday the 8th, I attended a Zoom meeting of the League of Cities. We had an interesting discussion about setting speed limits and how that's Caltrans is looking to change the methodology and how they do that. So more will be coming on that. It was very interesting and educational. Wednesday the 10th, I had the pleasure of being part of the Student of the Month. I think that's probably one of the highlights for any council member here to be able to see our future leaders and how hard they work at keeping the grades up, and as well, especially during this time of distance learning. And also attend the business spotlight and as well as the Menifee Coronavirus Memorial, but I'll defer to the Mayor Pro Tem to talk in length about that. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilman and Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. You did a great job, Councilmember Leesmeyer, on the Public Safety Ad Hoc Committee report. So I'm just going to share with my colleagues that this is something new that we have added, the summary, to the City Council agenda. Please let us know if this is helpful. Just remember, we are an ad hoc committee. We don't give direction. If there is direction you want to give, you either bring that up as a future agenda item at City Council meeting or talk to our city manager about it. We are there to be an ad hoc, and so part of our ad hoc is we're bringing you now the summary. So I hope it's helpful and that it's and that you find it worthwhile. So give us some feedback on that. Menifee Dip. So the spring clean that is this Saturday is different than Menifee Better Together. That will be April 24th, which is going into I believe, 9th or 10th year. We did skip last year because of the coronavirus. So Menifee Better Together, I do have an update on that. And in the past, we've had a community-free trash day out at Cabian Park. This year, there is a second one added. And Councilmember Dinas will be happy because it's located in your district and it will be at Heritage High School. So we have 2 opportunities for people to clean up their yards, have a free trash day, and take their things besides the senior home revitalization with Habitat for Humanity. Again, I think I mentioned this before, the numbers, they're only going to do between 8 to 10 homes on that. If anybody wants to work on a home, they need to work as a pod, so a family together or a family that's used to hanging around another family. There will also be along Newport, there will be cleanup along Newport, just like we're doing Saturday, but from one end of Newport to the other. And all of that can be, you can sign up on the community service website. So it's available on the City Hall website. So community service has that information. Again, we've all mentioned we are all able to attend Rancho Family Medical Center Business Spotlight. What a great business they are in our town. RCA, I did attend today, the executive meeting, and I did want to report out, we have there was a great addition to the website. Two new dashboards were added under maps, and this will be extremely helpful for the development community to see where those RCA areas are in each of the cities. And so this is something that's important for our staff to be aware of. If you'll take a look at it, there's 2 new dashboards under maps, which will be very helpful to our development community. You will be receiving a frequently asked questions from the RCA in regards to the Nexus study. There were, over the last 2.5 years, there were 6 public hearings held. And recently, there was one person that came and spoke for public comments that wasn't in favor of the Nexus study. So far, that I'm aware of today, 2 cities have voted to pass this and get this going. So just on that. Now on the Coronavirus Memorial and Peace Garden. So just want to let you know, and I'm sad to say that for the last week, we've held it to 144 residents that have passed. As of today, we now have 145. So I want to let my council colleagues who weren't able to attend, there are doves, these little doves, that are placed in the 12 crepe myrtle trees that surround the water feature. And each of the doves represent one of our Menifee residents who we have lost during the pandemic to the coronavirus. Now, there is a peace garden there that is for anyone who has has felt the effects of the coronavirus or who has lost a loved one in any way this last year. Saturday, we had people come and personalize rocks and decorate rocks to put in the peace garden. We have had a tremendous outpouring from the community. Right after the city council meeting, I received an email from a resident who wanted to be part of this. The next day, I got on the phone, reached out to a nonprofit, and I'm happy to report out that the Menifee Interfaith and Community Service Council sent out an emergency vote and voted to be the nonprofit sponsor. I want to thank Pastor Casey Crawford, the Interfaith Chair. I want to thank Louis Nursery for donating all the rocks. I want to thank the Alavia family for purchasing all the doves. Evans Brown and Miller Jones are purchasing markers for the garden that will have a sympathy message written on them. Menifee Lakes Women's Club painted rocks all week long, and actually I heard from them that they felt it was a way that they could grieve because losing their past president, Linda Delphin, it gave them closure. they hadn't had closure. So they felt very happy to be part of that. Cynthia Nemelka from Pop's Treasure donated paint pins. Nothing Bundt Cakes Carol came by and just brought by little bundt cakes after the ceremony. Crystal Rocket at coffee.com wanted to help, and she actually purchased 3 live doves. So at the end of the ceremony, we had our city manager, Armando Villa, and we had Linda Delphin's daughter, and then we had Lieutenant Denise Keith let off the doves that represented the past, the present, and a brighter future. Had the View Church, we had a young lady from the View Church, I just slipped out her mind, Angie, and she was their pastor for the choir. She sang an a cappella number, Amazing Grace, and it was absolutely beautiful. The Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints youth painted rocks. More rocks were painted. Besides some families who volunteered and just wanted to do something. Linda Morrison, one of our local artists, painted a special angel on a big rock for the garden. And I want to thank those several residents who participated, along with the city and our PIO officer, who was extremely helpful putting this on the website. I understand that as of today, that this post has been the most active post on our city Facebook page, and with 89 comments and 115 shares. And in the words of Pastor Crawford, I do want to end by saying, as a city council and city, we build buildings, we build bridges, we take care of the budget. But in my words, there's also something else we have to do as a city council, and that is to remember the people and what they've gone through, and remember that strong families make a strong community, and to be there for them when they need it. And I think that's what the Coronavirus Memorial and Peace Garden accomplished. So that would be my comments tonight.
All right, well said. Thank you for your report. I'll try to be quick. As usual, I have our ongoing EOC meeting every Thursday. On March 8th, the league did do the general membership, and I just wanted to recognize Councilman Dinas, who attended, but also our Assistant City Manager, Jeff Wyman, our Senior Management Analyst, Melda Huerta, and Chief Pat Walsh, that attended the league's virtual meeting. And Aaron gave some legislative updates, but the speaker was Rachel Carpenter. She's an engineer who's a chief safety officer with Caltrans, and talking about that 85% method for setting speed limits and signage and things like that. And our chief, Pat Walsh, kind of had a good back and forth conversation with her. So it was kind of nice to see that a speaker like that is having an effect right here in Menifee. So on March 10th, I joined Councilman Dinas for the Paris Union High School District Student of the Month. And your words to the students were well said. Thank you, Dean. I did attend RCTC's commission. There were a few decisions that we made as a board that were mostly related to the Corona area, the Santa Ana River Trail. There's an EIR that we awarded, and a 9171 design, and we did some toll transponder contract awards as well. But then they showed a video, and it was a clip from our Salt Creek Trail grand opening. And so that was kind of nice, because remember, RCTC is the ones who the funds were channeled through, and they were CMAQ funds, the air quality funds from the state. So it went state, county, right to benefiting the city of Menifee. So it was kind of nice that they showed that video. On March 11th, I joined Councilman Carwin and Supervisor Hewitt at Sun City Civic Association. We got to watch Brian Hawley, he's the president of the board at Sun City, be inoculated. And but that this is something that's, I think our seniors, as Councilman Carwin said, to have a mobile vaccination program come to them for their convenience and accommodation really made sense. There was some volunteers out in the parking lot with wheelchairs, and as some of the people that are a little bit immobile arrived, they were able to be wheeled right in and get their inoculation. So I don't know if it's going to continue, Bob. I heard that they do like the location and that the county is saying, let's continue this there. So we'll see how that goes going forward, but I kind of hope it does. I wanted to talk real quick about Councilmember Sobek, or Mayor Pro Tem Sobek talked a lot about the Peace Garden and the ceremony, but I did hear from a council member from another city who commented that they read about it in the Press Enterprise article and just said, hey, you know what, Menifee shows kindness and has a lot of care for the people that live in their community. And so I was given some kudos for it, but really it was the Interfaith Council, and I appreciate that Councilman Dinas suggested that it be something that's a grassroots effort. That was the right thing to do, and we had a lot of volunteers from the community because of that. So it turned out to be a great day. So thanks to everybody who did that.
And it got done in a week and a half.
Yeah, that was a quick one, huh?
Government wasn't involved.
Right? Get government out of the way and it goes smoothly. All right. So today I did have a mayor's meeting with, it was virtual through the League of Cities. And then I'm looking forward to this spring cleanup this Saturday. I heard about each one of you are going to be out there in different places, so I might come and visit you all. So I'll bring a trash bag. All right. Let's move on now. We are on item 9. This is approval of the minutes. We're going to be looking at the March 3rd, 2021 minutes. Council members, all in favor of those minutes approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, those minutes are approved, and we'll move to our consent calendar. This is item 10. All matters on the consent calendar are to be approved in one motion unless a council member requests a separate action on a specific item on the consent calendar. If an item is removed from the consent calendar, it'll be discussed individually and acted upon separately. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments submitted for our consent calendar items?
No, we do not.
All right, council members, do we have any items we'd like to pull from consent for discussion?
10.4.
Okay, so both of you want 10-4.
I would like 10-4, please.
All right, and any other 10-4s?
Well,
All right. You guys all sound like a bunch of CB truckers.
Motion to approve the balance.
Second.
All right. So I have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, do we want to do electronic?
Yes.
Okay, it looks
I'm
like it's
going
coming up.
to do this.
Okay, and you know what? I can see that this passed unanimously, so whatever we did to make it so it
Good,
reports
yes.
on the
We
screen,
did,
thank
we
you
worked
for
on-
fixing that, yeah.
Good.
Excellent, so that's approved, and now we'll go ahead and go to item 10.4. This is CIP 17-1 Evans Park Pump Track Design, and it looks like we have both of our MVPs of the Community Services Department here, so I'll just turn it over to Jonathan Nix, and he can introduce Bryce out.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. And if IT could bring up the PowerPoint, we do have a nice PowerPoint with some renderings on this. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Bryce Howe. He's done a lot of work on this project when we first heard about some of the similar tracks going in surrounding cities. So, Bryce, go right ahead.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. As we all know, we've all wanted something a little different in the city for our kids and just residents, that something that's exciting. So we are bringing forward tonight just the pump track and bike trails. It'll be off of the Evans parcels over there off of Craig and Evans Road. So this is on the 6 acres. It's the corner of Craig and Evans Road. As we know, when we went through the Parks Master Plan, as we talked through the other day, one of the highest priorities that were on there was for trails and biking. So pulling that off of there, we discussed an internal and found some spots, and what we found was that 6-acre lot that's on the southeast corner of Craig and Evans over there. It's a total of 23 acres, but that 6-acre lot was perfect for something like this. So it kind of catty corners Paloma High School if you're over there. So what we did is hire American Ramp Company. to make us a conceptual design. Where we got them from is actually they're the ones who constructed Temecula's pump track. So they've also designed and constructed our skate parks. That's what they do, skate parks, pump tracks, these kind of things. So they don't mess around with anything else. That's what they stick to. If you don't know what a pump track is, it's a circuit of rollers, banks, and turns that are ridden by riders using an up and down movement, so they're able to keep that momentum going to push them through that track. The pump track can be used by bikes, scooters, or skateboards, so anybody that can wear, you could even use it on a wheelchair or any kind of wheeled, non-motorized vehicle. And then also on that, what we added once we got the pump track design, we realized that that was a small portion of the trail, or a small portion of that lot, so we intervened and put bike trails that are specifically for bikes that will have, and I'll get to that once we get to a couple more slides here. So the pump track is, it'll be 2 pump tracks actually. It's about 22,000 square feet. So there's a larger pump track that will be for all skill levels as well. But and then on that bottom screen you can see there, that's a smaller pump track for younger kids. So when we did a lot of research talking to Temecula, they finally actually put their smaller one in, I believe in December. But the biggest complaint that they had was the little kids are getting in the way of the adults or the older kids. So that's why they wish they would have done it right the first time. So they we were going to put a second pump track in there just for those smaller, the little kids for that. So as you can see here, the pump track would be made of asphalt, or we would put synthetic turf or some kind of material inside. We wouldn't use the mulch like Temecula did that gets in the way of the wheels and everything like that. So that was the pump track. Now moving forward for the rest of the 6 acres that were on there.
Bryce, can I make sorry to interrupt your flow, just make a comment. So as you can see, Bryce has communicated with Temecula. We're not criticizing what they're doing, we're kind of lessons learned from what they're doing. How is the size of this one that we're proposing compared to Temecula?
So this one will be about double the size of Temecula. So this is a decent sized pump track. So no one around here, any local area around here has a pump track this size.
Not that we're in any kind of competition.
Not at all. This is lessons learned,
So,
type of thing. Yeah.
Not in a bad way. Temecula, it took about 5 years for them to get this going when they started. So I don't want to, they ran into a few red tapes. So I don't want to, we're working our way so we don't run into those kind of situations.
Where is the track in Temecula?
It's at Ronald Reagan
Ronald
Park.
Reagan Park.
Back in the corner by the high school, across the street by the softball park.
By the outdoor hockey rink.
I haven't been down there. All right.
Yeah, I don't know how they fit it in there, but they got a lot of stuff at that park. So the rest of the park will be, we'll also have a bicycle playground for kids. So you can see there's tunnels, cones. These are just conceptual, so we could add different things in there. There's rollers. It just teaches them so they can go on their with the bikes without the pedals, so they can learn their balance, everything like that. Then as the middle picture, you can see there will be more advanced, larger jumps and things like that are made out of the wood, and then it'll have the dirt landings that's in there. It'll have rollers, berms, things like that. And then the trails will go all the way around the 6-acre park. So it would have a total of 31 obstacles on there. And then you can see in these pictures right here, these are some of the things that the conceptual was going to be on there. So you can see those wooden ramps they're going off, the larger ones, little kids that can go through the tunnels. They call it a bicycle playground. And then the wooden ramps, like a berm type that you can balance and get everything on that's on there.
You're really going to do doubles?
Yes, that's what's in there.
This is open to adults, I hope.
This is open to adults. Those are adults, yes.
You're going to have a hard time prying me out of there.
No, there's a larger one that I personally have been to that has this company actually manufactured that did that in Utah that was just phenomenal. So, and it's a public park and everything. So it's nice to actually see it in person than to know what I really wanted in this design. So here's the overall conceptual. We are going to, as you approved earlier, the parking lot is going to be a phase 2. So right now that will be a gravel or road-based type parking lot until we have that. We're planning on putting that into our future CIPs projects for next fiscal year. So, and then we also have, there's 31 obstacles that was created on this conceptual that's there. So, and then you can see the pump track there. So that's the actual 6-acre lot, and you can see how it actually wraps around, uses that whole lot that's there on Evans and Craig. And then also in between there will be a restroom building that we're actually going to put. So it'll be right in between on that picture. You can see the pump track and the parking lot. It'll be a 2-stall restroom building with a drinking fountain that the Park and Trails Commission recommended, and then we brought forward that you guys approved earlier tonight for the restroom in there because it will be popular. So we don't want to start with a porta potty, a portable one. We want to have it done right with a permanent restroom right away. So the design cost of this is $34,820. So that'll include all the plans and specifications so we can go out to bid for this. We are going to have an RFQ. We'll be putting that out by April 1st. So we're going to be getting that in the next week or so to get out, just to get qualified builders to do this. We don't want to get someone that's just their first time to build anything like this. We'll have qualifications that they've built 3 or 4 pump tracks in the last couple of years, larger projects that are up in price, that they're on this. They are part of a trails organization so there's that. So we'll have that in April. This is a tentative schedule. Once we get the design will take about 6 to 8 weeks. Then we're able to go out to bid. Depending on how many pre-qualifications, if we have 1 or if we have 2, if we only have 1, we can go right into construction into June. But we're looking at groundbreaking on this in July, finishing it with the restroom building and everything in October is our goal of 2021. So this calendar year. And then if you have any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Howell. We appreciate the nice report. Council members, any thoughts? Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Sobek.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Howell, for your report, and for the Community Service Department thinking forward and providing activities for the over 100,000 people that live here now, and the average age being 36. We know there's a lot of young families, so we need these types of things, and I appreciate you looking at what's local and what worked and what didn't work, and having something for the youth and then and adults, and then something for the children. I do have a couple questions. So, as we all know, in the city of Menifee, it gets pretty hot. It can get pretty hot April through, it could even be September, October, right? So, I'm just wondering if we need to look at in another phase, if shade trees might be a benefit out there. If that's something that you've thought about adding?
Yeah, so we have thought of actually adding either, not a picnic shelter, but some kind of shade that way. We're trying to keep it as natural as possible in there too, so no irrigation, things like that, just to cut down on any maintenance costs, but also just so it's a natural habitat that everybody's riding around in. But we have definitely thought of putting any kind of shade cover that's over there, but we could definitely look into any kind of larger trees, so.
Maybe as we evaluate it, we can, I know that when we did the skate park, we went back several times. And so I don't know if it ended up costing us more, some of the changes we had to make. So I just think if we can look forward, because that was one of my other questions is, I know you talked about a restroom, so I was wondering if there was water and sewer close by, because there's not a whole lot there.
Yes, there's water and sewer. Well, there's water on the property. We'll have to tie into the street for the sewer.
Okay.
But it is there at the location.
Okay, great, because otherwise that could be pretty expensive. The other question, where did my question go? The gravel for the interim parking lot. Would there be a safety issue with using gravel? I wouldn't want us to get sued in any way. So it's just something that I've.
There are other parks that I've worked in, other organizations where we've had gravel lots, as long as we have ADA accessibility to sidewalk. But definitely as we move into this phase, if approved by council, we'll have our design team look at that.
Okay. All right. So those are my questions, but I want to say thank you. Kudos to the team.
Go ahead. Actually, I'm sorry, Dean, hold on. I got more in the queue. First up is Bob Carwin.
Thank you. Conceptual design looks great. I had two questions about it. Number one is funding. What is the source of funding for this? I want to make sure that, right now we've got a lot of things going on in the city, and I want to make sure that funding for this isn't being diverted from other more necessities, like the Holland Bridge, for example. Is that going to get delayed because we're building a pump track, or potholes? Are they not getting filled because we're building a pump track? I want to know what the source of the funding is for it, and then I have a follow-up question after.
This is all development impact fees, specifically made for parks and trails.
So the funding for this is specifically intended for this project. And
Correct.
If we didn't build this, this wouldn't go to other stuff. There'd be another park.
Correct. You can't use it on the bridge or anything like that. It has to be used for specifically parks or trails.
Right, and so I want to make sure that's an important point, that I want to make sure the public understands that, so why are we doing this instead of doing that? Well, that's because that's what this money is designated for. And then secondarily, I don't know what the phasing is for the project, but I know with the skate park, we've had some issues with staffing and security, things like that. So what is the plan for this, for the pump track?
So we've looked into that, and we didn't want to follow those same footsteps where we inherited the skate park and then came up with we ended up coming up with solutions, but it had some problems in the past. So right now we're planning on leaving it open, but we do have, and we could look into staffing it if we did have problems, but at least we're ahead of the game now. We do have our park rangers ahead of time, so we'll be able to do that. And not to speak for PD, but we also have PD now to be able to help with any crime or anything that's there. So those are our goals. Right now, we're going to keep it open to the public, just not fence it off or charge. So it'd be free admission. But that's our goal right now, is looking into that. At least we're ahead of the game with that, with the rangers and the police.
So what is the relationship of the park rangers to the pump track when it first opens? Will they be available if called? Will they be on site? What is the relationship planning to be?
We'll make a high presence there with the park rangers. Probably that'll be just like they are at the skate park. There'll be a high presence there at the pump track.
And just while I'm thinking about it, is there a goal timeline?
For the pump track?
Yeah.
Yeah, October.
October.
October is our tentative opening date, yes.
Of this year?
This year, yes.
Get your bike lubed up.
Got two of them ready to go.
Thank you.
Councilman Leesmeyer.
Great job, Bryce. This is definitely out of the park. And there's no shame in being better than somebody else. Question though, I noticed the back quarter of the property had nothing going on. What's your vision there?
That's actually a basin that goes to the housing track goes into there. So we can't really develop anything in that basin that's there. So that's why the track wraps around it. So the basin will have to stay there.
Okay. Probably more of a legal question, but I'm sure we're going to have liability waivers out the wazoo. How are we going to kind of manage that? Certainly we learned a lot from the skate park, and we have somebody out there volunteering, I still believe. Making sure people are wearing helmets, that sort of stuff. Just don't want to see this become another kind of ball of wax.
Yeah, absolutely. So if I'm not wrong, as long as we have it posted and we take the right route that way, to say wear your helmet, wear your safety gear, ride at your own risk, we will be covered. I don't want to say it, but I believe we would be covered on that as long as we have the liability signs and everything up there. And we're taking our due diligence to make sure everything's safe.
Great. Thank you. Good job.
Councilman Dinas.
Thank you. On the bike trails layout here, is that for all skill levels and ages?
Yeah. Yes. So there's on the next to the parking lot, there's a smaller area that had that tunnel that will be, it's the bicycle playground.
Okay, so you separated out like you did the bump
Yes.
tracks for younger, so that little kids down there, and little
Correct.
those with the little training wheels. All of a sudden, there's some guy down come flying over him on one of the.
Yeah, they are completely
bumps or something.
separate from the other. And then
Oh,
there's
good,
also
okay.
the two other trails. There's one that will probably be for anybody could ride, that's getting, then there's the more advanced section that'll be in there.
Okay, and because I had the same concerns that the other council members had, the liability and the safety factor, and also that this is going to be the largest one around and most complex. It's going to be drawing riders from far and wide, my guess. I think we need to be sensitive, and you'll have to make sure that it doesn't get so busy that residents get crowded out of it because other ones, I mean, that's what we saw with the skate park as well, because it's the residents that moved in here that's paying for it. So they should have the right to have first dibs on using that. So if it gets that popular, I'd hope you'd come back sooner than later to council with a plan to fix that then.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, with that, I'm going to make a motion to approve this item.
I second.
Madam Clerk, can you pull up our? And that passes unanimously, I think. Yes. All right, very good. Thank you, Mr. Howell and Mr. Nix. All right, we're going to move now to item 11. This is our public hearing items. The first item is 11.1. This is deferral and implementation of development impact fee yearly adjustment. Mr. City Manager, would you introduce the item?
Yes, Mayor, this is going to be done by Cheryl Kitzrow, our Community Development Director.
Okay. Welcome, Ms. Kitzrow.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. This item is, let me go here. A follow-up action that was included when we approved the original DIF back in 2017. When the council adopted the DIF resolution for the citywide development impact fees, those fees were phased in. They were phased in as of July 1, 2018. The resolution adopting those fees included an engineering news record construction cost index adjustment on an annual basis. And the intent of that is so that the amount of fees collected keeps pace commensurate with the cost of constructing the improvements that the fees would fund. So we deferred the implementation of that automatic adjustment to 2 years after the DIF fees were implemented. That means that the adjustment could have gone into effect January 1, 2021, but due to the COVID pandemic and things that have been happening over the last year, staff is recommending that we defer that adjustment to July 1, 2021. The annual increase for that engineering news record construction cost index over the last period is 1.29%. So the proposed fees, this is the existing adopted fees. You can see for a single family unit, the total maximum fee for this MDP South storm drain area is $10,089. For comparison, the commercial retail fees are done by per 1,000 square feet is $10,235. So the new fees would be adjusted 1.29%. So in that MDP South storm drain area, you can see the slight increase from the $10,085 to the $10,219. And then for commercial retail, just that same comparison would go up to $10,367 per 1,000 square feet. There are 3 tables in this presentation that you have in front of you because the storm drain fee category for the DIF varies based on area of the city. So there is the MDP South area has a different fee because of the infrastructure needs there. The Encanto area has a different fee because of the needs there. And then there is an area which is the majority of the city that is outside both of those storm drain areas, so that fee is a little bit different. So we just wanted to make sure that the council had those numbers for each of those areas because that's how it's ultimately implemented. We did do outreach at our August 20th developer stakeholder group meeting. We did provide this as an informational item, letting them know that the adjusted rate is the 1.29%. and that we were recommending a deferred implementation. And then we also did outreach with the BIA. We're required to send them written notification. We did that on February 12th. And we also held a phone call with them and then did a virtual meeting with them on March 5th. So the action, staff's recommendation is to adopt the resolution approving the deferred implementation to July 1 and the increase of 1.29% consistent with the ENR CCI. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you for your report, council members. Questions at this time? I don't hear any questions, so I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. It is 7:26. Madam Clerk, was this item legally noticed?
Yes, it was, Your Honor.
And did you get any correspondence on this one?
No correspondence.
All right, and anybody put in public testimony or submit an email for comments?
I know. Yes, there is a request to speak. I don't believe he's on Zoom, but Stephanie can read the email if he's not available.
Good evening, Council. Honorable Mayor and City Council, I apologize, from Lou Monville, Interim Executive Officer, Riverside County Chapter, Building Industry Association of Southern California. On behalf of the Riverside County Chapter of the Building Industry Association of Southern California, I want to urge your support of item 11.1 on your March 17th, 2021 agenda. We support your staff recommendation to approve the deferral and implementation of the development impact fee yearly adjustment. As we emerge from COVID-19 pandemic and continue to work to solve California's housing crisis, this deferral will be welcomed news. I also want to thank the City of Menifee and in particular Cheryl Kidzero and your entire community development team. They outreach to our members early to educate them on this item and keep us regularly apprised of development issues in Menifee. We appreciate their ongoing collaboration and the hard work they do every day to support our industry and members. We are grateful for partners like the City of Menifee, and we look forward to the continued partnership. Thank you again for your consideration. If we can ever be of assistance to the City of Menifee as you work to meet your housing need goals, please do not hesitate to contact us directly. Sincerely, Lou Monville.
All right, we appreciate Mr. Monville's comment. Madam Clerk, any other?
There are no other speakers.
All right, so we will go ahead and close the public hearing now at 7:29. And council members, the floor is open for discussion. Councilman Leesmeyer, are you in the queue?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a couple of questions. So you had on here, on January 21st, the developer stakeholder group was informed of the fee adjustment. Was there any conversation about that? What was their feedback?
There was no opposition. There really was no discussion. It was provided as an information item in that meeting during our presentations.
Oh, okay. And then at the tail end of the staff report, there was something that kind of caught my eye. It says, per the adopted resolution 17656, staff will again return to the city council during the month of November 2021 for the CPI increase. I looked at the resolution from 2017. It doesn't mention anything about that. So I just wanted to try and reconcile that. In fact, I went ahead and I pulled out the copy of the Wildan report that I had from 2017. And it actually, in the diff, it actually has a line item for master planning and future nexus analysis. One of the things that I noticed was that there's an allotment of money, about $50,000, supposed to have been spent in 2020 to reanalyze the diff. So here we are in 2021, and we're not there. So I'm just curious about how we're going about with doing another comprehensive nexus analysis.
Councilmember Leesmeyer, I know you had two questions.
Yes.
On the first question, I think, I'm looking at the current resolution, but the current resolution is based on the former resolution, that section 4 of that resolution calls for an annual adjustment of the diff fee to take effect on January 1st of each year. And in order for that to take effect, I think the plan would be to bring to you the adjustment, because it has to be council approved in November. So the reason you didn't see the November date is it sort of worked backwards. It's calculated backwards based on the January 1st adjustment date. Does that make sense?
So we're anticipating this to go January of 2022.
That option, well, Cheryl is looking at me like she better answer this, so I'm going to stop right there.
So the way the original diff ordinance was written is that the director of finance would calculate what that adjustment is, looking the period July 1 to July 1. Usually that information isn't available until the fall, and then the resolution authorizes the increase starting January 1. What we did this year was, instead of coming to you in November and doing an increase in January, we're here now requesting a deferred implementation for July. If we want to change that schedule so that it is always July, that's something we can discuss as well. But yes, Mr. Melching is correct. That was just working backwards so that we could hit a January implementation for next year's adjustment.
Okay.
And I'll just add to that would be if there was not a new, I'm sorry, I can take this off now, a new fee schedule put in place prior to that. So if there is no change in the next year, then that would be our schedule. But we do have an RFP currently that's been circulated. As you mentioned, it's been budgeted. So we will get the response to that, I believe, in April. Yes, we will receive the response to that in April, and we'll move forward accordingly. So it could very well be that we have a new fee study in place, but that's not certain. So this is going, as we know now, that would be the next scheduled increase. But if we do adopt a new fee schedule in the meantime, that would change.
So kind of just a procedural question for you, Jeff, with respects to the fee study that was done by Wildan and how they're talking about how they're building this money to do a future comprehensive fee study, similar to our different fund accounts in the city. If we're not using that to do a future nexus study, how do we keep charging people for it if we're not doing that?
We do.
I think the answer, if I heard Rochelle correctly, is you are doing the study. That's the thing that's out for RFP now, and you will be spending the money to do the study. But to answer the broader sort of abstract legal question is, if you assess fees for a certain purpose and you don't use the fees for that purpose, then the Mitigation Fee Act sets forth a time frame after which you basically have to refund the fees. I think it's something like 5 years. I don't remember specifically, but I think it's something like 5 years.
Okay, and then last question I had was with respect to the MDP fees. You might remember we had a lot of public comment about the MDP fees and how people felt that they were unjust. People said that there was no nexus study, there was no basis for charging the fees that we are charging. But now, consequently, we're under contract with somebody to figure out what that fee is going to be, doing a citywide master drainage study. So how have we been charging people for this fee when now we're basically telling everybody, yeah, you were right, and now we need to do a fee study to verify this?
Right. The storm drain fees are just to the two areas. My understanding back when the original nexus was done, that the Wildan report identified those areas, and so that's how those fees were established. But the large majority of the city is not part of those plans. But the new diff study that we have out for RFP will be a comprehensive study, so we'll reevaluate that. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Good. Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem Sobek.
So since we're delaying this fee, what do we need to do? I would hate for us to increase the fee again in January of 2022. What would we need to do to change that schedule?
Mayor Pro Tem, I think the answer in this case might actually be fairly simple. Section 4 of the resolution has a line that says, upon adoption by the City Council, the adjusted amounts shall become effective on the following January 1st. We just change that to July 1st if that's what you want to do.
Well, in lieu of the coronavirus pandemic and how it's affected a lot of businesses, et cetera, and developers, I'm wondering if that's something that staff would entertain. Okay, so that would be my ask, if we could look at that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, absolutely. That's a change that we can make, but I think that's a question for staff.
And I don't know
about-
if the rest of my colleagues feel that way. Or if we look at it temporarily,
well, I
for, at
think-
least for the next 3 years.
What the schedule shows is that we will have the new study done prior to January 1st. So I think that it would be helpful to get the new study done and see where that. So the city has had so many changes since this fee study was completed. We've opened up our own police department. The city hall has moved, and we're in a new location and have different bills, so different costs that play into the actual development impact fees that are adopted with that study. So I think it is going to be prudent to go through this process and see what the new study shows that we should be charging. And then we can, council will bring it back to council at that time, and you can, the plan as it stands now, the schedule would be that we would return prior to January. So you would have that option.
Okay. All right, great, thank you.
And just to clarify, for this adjustment, we are recommending an implementation of July 1.
Got it. Council members, any other discussion on this?
No, motion approved.
Okay, I
Second.
heard a motion.
I'll second it.
I gotta get out of this thing now. All right, so this is asking me if I want to second it, but I think it already has been, right? I only have one choice, and that's to second the item, even though somebody's already seconded it. So I'm gonna, I don't know what happened. I froze
I'll
up.
try it again here.
Oh. Thank you, Lisa.
Did that go?
Got it. All right. I'm gonna nominate Mayor Pro Tem to be on the IT department.
I think they would disagree with that.
All right, so now we are on item 13, and that's our public safety report, right? Because we don't have an item 12, so we'll go straight to 13. This is our new item for information. So there's no council action needed, but I do need to open it up for public comments because it's listed on the agenda. So, Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak on this item?
No, there are no requests to speak.
All right, so we can open it up and take our public safety report. And are we going to go through it, Armando, or are we just receiving and filing what was sent to us in our staff report?
The recommendation is to receive and file.
Okay.
But if you have any questions on it, I think we could be open to
All right.
that.
Well, I'll just say it's appreciated, or I certainly appreciate being given the update and the report. It helps, I guess I don't have it, it helps us all to be educated on what's happening and see some of the data and the stats. And I always appreciate it when council members share what they learned at the Public Safety Ad Hoc Committee. But I got a funny feeling that's just a small portion of all the things that you're learning. So it's great that two of you are well educated on this. I kind of wish we all were. So just put it like that. But anyway, but this is helpful. So thank you, staff, for keeping the rest of us informed. Councilman Dinas.
Thank you. A lot of good information, but there's a lot of numbers just to be presented to us and just to receive and file it without any explanation. And I'd point out as an example the code enforcement, the large change in activities from January to February. It would be nice to have some kind of explanation as to why those things change as we see these reports. So in future ones, it would be nice to say if there was something different or out of the ordinary, or a program that's implemented or was sunset, that we would know about that, so we could put some of these numbers in perspective and not just say, here you go, and left to interpret it ourselves.
Good point. Councilman Leesmeyer.
No, this is great feedback, and you kind of take it for granted when you're there and you're just hearing everybody read these reports. Sometimes it gets rather boring, and I always get a chuckle when animal control says, when they go through the stats and they say, oh, we have this many animals running at large. I don't know why. It's just funny to me. Animals running at large. It's just a funny little thing. But they go through the reports, and from time to time we'll stray off topic and we'll hear about things such as partnerships with our cities. That's why I wanted to share that. Yeah. That was a specific item of note. I don't know if everybody saw the article in the paper yesterday regarding the CAL FIRE staff that's tremendously stressed out with COVID. That wasn't reported at that meeting, but just things like that to watch out for. Code enforcement was kicked in the shins last month with some COVID issues. So I know that there were some people quarantined and maybe things didn't happen as quickly as we wanted to. Historically, June is a high month for code enforcement because they're sending out all the violations and the fines and everything for all the weed abatement. So June 6th is like the weed abatement day. So as Councilmember Sobek said, if there's ever a question or anything that you have a question about or you're hearing about a public safety concern, share it with us, share it with Armando, obviously. Councilmember Sobek and I have made a pretty cognizant effort going forward to make sure that we're not implying direction to staff. Staff has the desire to please everybody, and oftentimes when they hear a comment, they're quick to act, quick to go do something about it, and it's not really the right thing to do. So we're taking a little bit of a different approach ourselves and stepping back a little bit more, and just voicing our concerns about things we hear about. If it's an issue of concern that rises to that level, certainly Jeff or Armando will direct staff. Hey, okay, this is actually a big deal. You need to go take care of this. So that's kind of how it's been going. But again, happy to answer any questions at all.
Yeah, and I would like to add, since we are the ad hoc committee, you're happy to reach out to me this year as the chair, or if you feel more comfortable, Councilmember Leesmeyer, if there's something that you want us to bring up. But we will clarify with our staff that when we make comments, that it's not giving direction. It is things that we see, being the eyes out there, and that they will have to discuss that with their department head. But I do want to thank our Assistant City Manager, Jeff Wyman, for putting together, I believe it was you that put together the summary? Okay. Okay. And staff. So if there's anything on here that would be more helpful, as Councilmember Leesmeyer said, we hear the reports. We hear the conversation. If there's anything we can do to help you, please let us know. That's what we're here for. Okay.
And I would even piggyback. I mean, when the agenda goes out, take a glance at it, and if you've got a glaring issue when the agenda comes out and it's sent out to everybody, drop a line.
Yeah, for instance, this last month, I think it was Captain Carr that I think it was him, maybe it could have been Gutierrez, that mentioned right off the bat, I had noticed that our traffic violations were down, but our traffic motors were at training for 2.5 weeks, and I will just let you know, in the last 2 days, I've seen them out twice. So once each day. So they're back, and we're happy to have them back. So yeah, we're here to answer any questions and help you out.
Okay. I have Councilman Dynas is next.
I appreciate, your offer to address our issues, and if you don't mind, then I think it would be helpful as we get the agenda, hopefully far enough in advance to read it, that if we see some kind of out of whack or just of interest even, that we could just, hey, could you have staff address that, and at the next council meeting, go ahead and tell us what was going on. That would be very helpful.
Are you not getting the agendas when they go out?
No,
Oh.
Never gotten one.
This is the first one I've ever seen.
Oh,
that's what
okay.
some of the concern.
Okay, so just like Parks and Trails, I mean, you guys should be getting these agendas every time they come out.
I thought it was just me.
This is the first time public safety report's been on here.
Right. I mean, this is the first time I've ever seen it, period.
Yeah, it's first time. Oh,
but
you haven't seen
I've
it
never seen it.
attached to the monthly report? Okay. Well, and also you can address anything in your 2-2-on-1 with our city manager.
So, Mr. City Manager, if we could get the council get at least a copy of the report in advance, so that we can look at it and then share with our questions with the committee, that'd be very helpful.
All right, Councilman Carwin.
I also really appreciate the data. For me, the value of this data is, what do we do to bring all of these numbers down? Every single item on this, I would love to be zero in the report. We'd love to have our police department not having to arrest anybody or things like that. That's obviously unlikely, but I would like to know, based on these incidents, if there's any reporting from each of these agencies about anything we can do as a council to assist in bringing all of these numbers down. I think the data is helpful to show the progress of policies implemented to bring these numbers down. What do we need to do as a city to reduce the incidences of fire, incidences of code enforcement, things like that. So, I mean, obviously you're always going to have crime. Nobody's without crime entirely, but or fire or code enforcement issues. But the data is helpful as trend watching. I just like to know what assistance, if maybe feedback can be given from the committee based on comments from the representatives of these agencies on if there's any policies that we can implement that would assist them.
So actually, that was a conversation we had about updating some of our policies. And as you know, our police department is under a year old, and they're doing a great job. And they are, as they find those things, they are bringing them forward, and they will come forward to the city council as well. But just give us feedback and see what we need to add. That'd be helpful.
Armando.
I had.
Let's go city manager, and then Dean will go to you.
So I was gonna, the subcommittee concept has evolved over time. I think the subcommittee program was even in place right at the start of cityhood, and has evolved from a 2-member to a much larger group, and over time has morphed into a committee that is fully staffed and has now getting reports from the PD, the fire, animal control, and it became apparent that we needed to make sure that we documented those. So now you're getting a staff report in addition to, so it has morphed into this larger type of thing, but it has never been at the level of a commission meeting. Commission meetings, we do put out agendas because of the Brown Act and things like that. So, I'm getting some really good feedback today about what the future of the subcommittee moving forward should be, and how many of you should be notified. At this point, when we do the agendas, I think the agendas go directly to the committee members, and they don't go to the rest of the city council members. But if that's the ultimate desire of the council to push out the agenda with the materials at the same time, we can certainly do that. But again, the purpose and the concept and the contents of the subcommittee material has never been formalized in a document. So again, it has morphed into this thing, evolved into a much larger thing now. And true, we have now our own police department. So we've evolved from the sheriff services to now having a more localized service. Second of all, we've consolidated our animal control operations from having 2 vendors to 1 vendor now. We have animal control sheltering and animal services. So in the future, we are thinking of providing school resource officers to the schools when they open up, and that's going to facilitate and further consolidate the services that we offer localized. So we are not going to, what I'm saying is we may not need all those other agencies in the committee meeting because you'll be able to get the reports from one source. But again, it continues to morph itself and evolve into a more specialized meeting that, if you wanted to give us more direction about how to go about in the future, we certainly can entertain that.
Thank you. I appreciate the information. Councilman Dinas.
Yes, thank you. The one area that's missing here, we get all this good information about our public safety, but the residents are being kept in the dark, in my opinion, because we're seeing all this information and it's going amongst us, but there's no avenue to share this information with the public. So, and I would ask my colleagues if it would make sense to maybe do a quarterly update for public safety in the public session here, so that we can hear it, but the public can hear it too. We asked them, and they supported the Measure DD to pay for public safety, but the only thing they hear is on social media how things are going, not from our public safety departments directly in a public setting such as a city council meeting. So if we could do something like that, that would be very helpful to our residents to know that, hey, they're getting their money's worth, and we're working hard to make it a safe city. And this is what our public safety departments are doing. So I would throw that out as a suggestion that we do to make sure our residents know what's going on with our public safety departments.
Councilman Leesmeyer.
I'm just compelled to ask the question. I mean, maybe there's something that our IT director can come up with. Maybe there's a little branch of a website or something where we can publish the information.
There is.
It's going to be scary at first. People are going to see numbers and they're going to freak out, just as we thought they would when we started the police department. The numbers go up when you have more people on the street writing reports. It's just the way it is. But I'm definitely in favor of the transparency. I wasn't aware that the whole council wasn't getting the agenda, so that definitely raises some concern. But to Lisa's point, it is included in the mayor's or the city manager's monthly update. It's in that packet that he sends out monthly. But regardless, getting it a couple of days like we do, a couple of days before the meeting, if you got an issue, let's just get it out.
Go ahead.
I'm thinking that, why don't we put this on as a future agenda item to be brought back, your idea, and then we have a discussion.
Yeah, because, right now as an ad hoc committee, there's no Brown Act requirements, only 2 council members can attend. There's an issue then providing agenda for all council members. Is that an issue? Because I'm afraid that if we send suggestions in, it's still skirting the Brown Act, of having a meeting within a meeting, kind of through email.
So, Councilman Dinas, we'll work on that last issue, but I did want you to know that I know that the council routinely refers to it as an ad hoc committee for Brown Act purposes. Each of the meetings is publicly noticed in compliance with the Brown Act, 72 hours.
Because I think it's on the website. I saw it somewhere where it's called an ad hoc committee.
It might be wise to change the name because for Brown Act parlance, ad hoc committee means a committee that is formed for a short duration and a single purpose, and that's not what this committee does.
So
This committee is
as,
an ongoing.
as the city manager, it has morphed, as the city manager said, so.
I like that you said that it's morphed, and when this committee was originally formed many years ago, it might have been an ad hoc committee. It might have been for a purpose. We might have been talking about, you know, how do we someday form a police department or something like that. I also like what Councilman Dynas is saying about transparency, I guess, is the best way to wrap it all up into one word. And then for me, I would rather just have all of us be informed. You know what I mean? As opposed to two council members are the ones who are informed and educated as far as what's happening out there, and the rest of us would need to do your suggestion to call you and say, can you tell me what's going on? What if instead of just two council members get the information, all five of us do? And maybe it's in the form of a workshop or something, or maybe it's added to our agenda. How long are you guys' meetings?
Well, that's kind of part of the problem. The last one went 2 hours.
So it's not just a little bit of information like we're seeing here.
It's a lot of
There's
questions,
there's
a lot of questions and
information
answers and
questions.
dialogue. And the unique thing about the Public Safety Committee is that it, you know, for example, we have a new, is she a PIO at the district? So there's a new PIO at the school district. And last year I had really pushed to try and get the school districts to come because we were coming out on the heels of losing the busing with Menifee, and we were having to spend money to fix sidewalks and things like that. And I was really trying to get schools to show up so that we could shore up that gap. What was going on in our city with, you know, making sure the kids were safe and having an avenue for all those different departments to kind of talk about stuff. So it has morphed a lot, and it's really candid. It would be hard. I think it'd be pretty hard to have all five of us doing that. I mean, the two of us, I mean, we could probably cut our questions back quite a bit. I mean, significantly, because it went 2 hours. It was kind of ridiculous, actually.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm not trying to say, hey, let's have 2-hour meetings added, but you know, we get updates on our budgets, we get updates on that, and we don't do that to people and leave 3 in the dark. We share it with everybody, and I think it can be added. Maybe there won't be a monthly meeting, maybe it's a quarterly meeting where kind of the stats and numbers are shared. I don't know, I'm throwing it out.
You know what,
I guess
Mayor?
my desire is I'd like to be educated.
Mayor, when I didn't serve on the ad hoc committee, one of my biggest concerns was the public safety in this city, right? And be able to have those answers. So I understand where you're coming from. I'm hoping that Councilmember Dynas puts this on for your future agenda item, that we can have a discussion on this.
Okay.
And give direction to staff. Unless we do that right now, but I don't think we can because it's not on the agenda. This is just the public safety report.
I think you're right, yeah. Councilman Dynas, you want to suggest that we add in a future agenda item?
Can I do that now then, as opposed to
Yes.
waiting for it? Then I'd request that.
Yeah, and I'll second it.
And hopefully it doesn't fall to the bottom of the list of things that to be done, because this is, I think, pretty important for our public to know what their police department and fire department's doing.
Yes, and all of us. Excellent. Okay, so thank you for the report. I appreciate it, and great to be educated on that. We are now on item 14, city attorney reports.
No report tonight.
No report, all right. And then city manager reports, item 15.
No report.
All right, future agenda requests, we just had one. Do we have any others? All right, so we are going to adjourn a special way this evening in honor and memory of somebody who is a 30-year resident here in Menifee. Mayor Pro Tem Sobek reached out to Debbie Mannion. I think you all know her. She's the Rotary Club president. She also is the one that does the Christmas Santa's Workshop event. And unfortunately, it's very sad to learn that her mother, Marion, a lot of us call her Mimi. Hebetz is her last name. She had some complications after having a hip surgery from falling, and And unfortunately, it was very quick and she passed away. So we wanted to just say a couple of things. She's been involved in our Rotary Club. She was involved in the Lake Menifee Women's Club. She was very active in all of the Independence Day parades and the Easter egg hunts that the Women's Club put together. She was also a Bobby Sox, that's a girls softball program here in town. And she always helped her daughter with the Santa's Workshop. Mayor Pro Tem, did you have any
Well,
other things I'm forgetting?
You know, I saw Debbie, she actually came to the coronavirus and Memorial and Peace Garden. I couldn't believe she was there. Her mom had just passed away, but she did share with me that she contracted the coronavirus in the rehab where she was at. And that's what actually caused her to pass. So I
Yeah.
just thank her for her years of being here in Menifee and being an active citizen making a difference.
Yes.
And
She wa-
condolences to the family.
She really was a sweet lady, and I always liked seeing her at the Rotary Club meetings. And I called her Mom just because that's what Debbie called her, and so we all kind of knew her as Mom. So anyway, our hearts and prayers and thoughts go out to Debbie and her entire family, and we will go ahead and close and adjourn our meeting in honor and memory of Marion Hebbets. All right, we're adjourned.